Welcome to the Smiling Homeschooler Podcast. My name is Ben Wilson, and we're glad you're here. This week, we're catching up after our family vacation. We'll share a little bit about how the trip went, talk about Halloween coming up, and discuss whether or not it's a good idea to schedule breaks during your school year. It's going to be a fun, encouraging episode, but before we begin, we want to say thank you to Teaching Textbooks for making the Smiling Homeschooler possible. Their math curriculum has changed thousands of homeschoolers' lives, so if you haven't checked it out already, definitely do so over at teachingtextbooks.com. Also, thank you to Samaritan Ministries. They are a community of Christians who pay one another's medical bills, helping families take a safe step of faith as they feel God's leading in career or in ministry changes when bringing mom home. And you can learn more over at samaritanministries.org/familyman. But all right, Dad, let's get going.
Just even listening to Ben talk that fast makes me exhausted. I'm just here's the backstory. So we were just in Florida for a week, and Ben and his family got home yesterday after a 2-day drive, or day and a half drive. Actually, probably 2 days.
Basically 2 days.
And so I just pulled in the driveway this morning at 8:30 in the morning after driving for 24 hours straight with my son Abe, and we took turns. And
was Cal not there?
But I'm not gonna let him drive it because
Yeah.
we were pulling a big trailer behind a truck, and it was just. I'm exhausted. I feel a little numb. So sorry for this downer of an episode. But it should be a fun episode because we're talking about vacation. And so take it away, Ben.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's always hard. I was saying, I think maybe my highlight of vacation is just I don't have to think about doing anything else. I don't have to think about any other things I need to do. It's just be present, be with the kids, and it's just refreshing. It's like, oh man, Anders is actually really fun when it's just I don't feel like I have a time crunch of needing to do something else or whatever it may be. But getting back into reality, it's just like, oh man, there's so many projects I need to do, so many things I need to work on, fix things. It's just it is exhausting, but it is fun too. And one of the big highlights for me was Anders. He's always only ever swam with a puddle jumper is what we call it, which is basically just like, one of those half life jackets with like floaties attached to it, and it goes on the front. But he was like willing to try it without it. It was short. The pool where we were staying is pretty shallow, like 3 feet. So he was able to kind of almost touch, and he learned how to swim. He was swimming like a fish by the end. So that was a fun highlight, from this week, and something he'll always remember, I think, or at least we'll remember for him. But it's just a good week and a good reminder of it's just nice to be able to focus on only family and not other things. That's why I think at least for me, why I need non-staycations. I love the idea of that, but I just cannot disconnect and stop thinking about things enough. There's just constant reminders all over the place. So getting out, going somewhere, doing something is just so therapeutic and fun. So I really recommend it.
But here's the thing about having a vacation. I thought, that we could talk about this for a few minutes. If we were to list all the costs of going on vacation, it would really be staggering. So for my family to go, I'm not talking about the dollar amount of cost. I'm just talking about, so we had 5 different vehicles that went down there. So is that right?
I think there were 5. McKenna, Kat, and then 5.
5 vehicles, drove about 1,100 miles there one way. So, that's over 10,000 miles that we logged on our old beaters of cars. We don't have any shiny, nice new cars. And I prayed a lot for all the vehicles going and on the ones coming back. And then the cost, so we all stayed in different campsites. Which is not cheap. This is not like, I don't want to even say state park, because state parks aren't cheap either.
You talk even Yogi Bear or something like that. They've gone. It's crazy expensive too nowadays.
It's a lot. So, so we had 3 different sites. Ike and his wife and daughter, they stayed in a tent, which was fine until it rained. and they stayed pretty dry. But and the cost for the food, the cost for, just the gas to get there is, you start multiplying that all out, and it's a huge amount of cost. And sometimes it can be a little overwhelming to me because I think about it, I think like, wow, we could have, bought a whole house edition or whatever. I don't know. Not that much.
Yeah,
But
but it is legit.
and
I mean, it's a legit
it's a
thing.
lot.
Yeah.
And so in my head though, I have these balancing scales, and I put all the cost of that over on that side. And then I put all the benefits on the other side, of watching your kids play together, and aunts and uncles playing with their little nieces and nephews, and big brothers wrestling their little brothers, just to watch Ike, my son, and Abe, my son, go at it to wrestle is worth.
Was this on the night after we
5,000.
left?
I don't know when. 5,000 miles of driving, and to see them interact, and my wife and I would sit there lots of times and just talk about, wow, this is so amazing. And I watch other families interact when they're in the pool, and they're not even our families, and dads who ride their bicycles, with their kids, and I'm just thinking it's worth it. It's just worth it. I mean, it really, even if you double it all, it'd be worth it then. And I know a lot of parents, because again, when you're in the throes of it, when you're surrounded by little kids, you think we can't take the time, we can't spend the money, they're gonna ruin it, and that last one is probably true. They might ruin it, but later, as the years go by, you don't remember it as ruined. You remembered them as magical times and the best times of your life. And so I was just thinking about that. And, even on the way back, and I was going to write this in my man's newsletter that I sent out to dads. If your husband isn't signed up, sign him up at familymanweb.com for the Family Man Weekly. As we were leaving Florida, so we were the last family to leave Florida, the last day, Sam and McKenna and Kat and Josh and their families left 2 days before us. Then Ben went the next day. And then we were the last day. We had so much to do. So if you've followed me at all, you know that we sold our big RV. So we went down there and we pulled a big trailer with 15 bicycles in it, and junk and stuff. And then, so when we got down there, we had to go to the campsite, drop off that, go get the RV that we were going to rent, and then bring it back, set it up, and then we got it all set up. And thankfully, Rissa, Ben's wife, hated the site, and so we had to move our site again.
Which you didn't have to do.
Yes, we did it happily.
Oh, you weren't there.
And I wasn't there, so that worked out really nice. And so they moved it all again. And so then we had to do it in the reverse. So yesterday morning, which might be this morning, I'm not even sure when it is, I took my wife because she wanted to fly, and which I don't blame her, because she's just tired. She's like, I'm done driving that thing. So she flew, and she took my son Jed because he had basketball practice. And so I got up and
flew private, I would assume, all the way back at this point.
Well, you just don't get you don't get a really cold Diet Coke if you don't.
Yeah.
And so I got up and I took them to the airport at 4:45 in the morning. And then I came back and spent the next couple hours getting ready to take the trailer back to the place where I met the guy at Walmart. We took it over there. We dropped it off, came back, got our trailer, and we finally left. And we had like a 3 to 4 hour delay, 20 minutes out. And I mean, we were
and you
stuck.
couldn't reroute. There was nowhere to go.
We could not move. We were stuck. It was a toll road. We could not get off, and we followed them, and there were lines. I mean, when you're watching your GPS and it
And
says
then,
5 minutes have been added to your
yeah.
trip. Ours said 2 hours and 30 minutes has been added to your trip.
I would be literally freaking
Abe
out
was
mad.
like, I want to die. And then it would drop down and go. And then and that would be like, we'd go down and then there would be the blue, we're like, oh, we're safe again.
Yeah.
Like, whew. And then we see it go to yellow and then red and it goes, an hour and 30 minutes has been added to your trip. And
What is
like,
going on? What was
going
it?
on? I don't know, because Ike went with his wife, Carolyn, an hour before. I forgot about them. An hour before we left, maybe an hour and a half. And I saw that they were slowed down, and I even texted them. By the way, if you don't have Life 360, which is an app to follow all your kids,
Or Find My iPhone.
Or Find My iPhone, which is not nearly as good. Get because I can tell how fast
Life
I'm driving.
360 drains your battery like crazy.
Oh,
though.
yeah, that's probably why my battery.
Yeah.
But it's super fun for a trip like that or for other things. And I saw that they were slowed down, and I wrote them. I said, "Hey, are you having traffic?" And they said, "Yeah, it looks like we're not sure what's happening." But then it cleared up, and I'm like, and then you'd see the ambulance or the whatever drive by, and you're like, "Drag him off the road, get him off the road," So
that's the worst.
And so anyway, so as we're finally leaving, and we're leaving, Central Florida, Orlando, where I'm just looking out the window because my son is driving, and this is the first time that I've actually driven since I was a little kid or ridden as a passenger down to Florida. But I was looking at all the meticulously landscaped homes, and because we were near a huge retirement community, which they're just strung together, just lots of them, and they all had these lanais, these big screened-in porches with pools underneath. And I noticed as I watched, and I looked at all of them because I used to be a landscaper, so I love the landscapes. I didn't see one toy or ball or bicycle or a pair of rollerblades or, junk, and not in one yard. And all those items I mentioned are in my yard right now. And I thought, really, that's not what we want. We are not racing our lives so we can have a home that is perfectly, landscaped and beautiful and no junk in it. We want to embrace these moments of homeschooling, moments of family that is messy. Because, even we're at the campground that we were at, we're surrounded by these beautiful giant rigs, giant fifth wheels and Class A's that are just gorgeous. And they have 2 matching chairs that are sitting underneath their beautiful awnings, and they might have 2 matching bicycles, sometimes with covers on them, sitting in front of the RV. And our campsites look like the Beverly Hillbillies went camping, and they brought all their kinfolk with them and decided to have a jug band, a hootenanny there. I mean, I must have, I don't know how many lawn chairs, 15 lawn chairs. None of them match. They're all broken, and the bicycles are everywhere, and there's junk everywhere. And I'm like, and I'm not saying, oh, so we're better than them. I'm not saying that. But there's something about the life that we have, and I'm talking to all you moms right now, in your clutter and in your mess, which is the mark of a life well lived. Yeah. Not just of lived, but that is living. Sometimes I think those communities are, and again, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just not where the good stuff is. The good stuff is where you are right now, Mom. And so, as far as vacations go, so my little scales there, if you just look at the cost, man, it is overwhelming of all the stuff. But when you look at the benefits of it and the limited amount of vacations, those times you have, it crushes the other side. It just falls down with and overwhelms the cost. I mean, even I was talking to one of my kids and I said, we could reduce this cost if we like went every other year. And I said, assuming that, I have 20 more years of where I feel halfway decent, um, do I just want to go, do I just want to have 10 vacations or do I want to have 20 vacations? And I'm like, I don't think I want to just have 10. And so, you just spend it and you do it happily. Sometimes I think, and I don't know about if you do this, Ben, but sometimes it's easy to maybe complain about it and you lose some of the happiness in it, and just because I've even thought about,
I said, I definitely struggle with that. I mean, even though I plan and, and everything else, it still feels like, expensive and Riss always is good at reminding me of like, how can we complain if we do this? And I'm like, I want to do it and I know I'm going to, but it's still hard sometimes. But
sometimes I wish we would just, like that we could as a husband and wife just say, hey, we're not going to say that anymore. Yeah. We're just going to be happy to spend the money. And that, when you have another opportunity to spend it, you go, oh, let's do it. We have it. Let's spend it now because we don't know what the future holds, and I even think about that, I get real emotionally sentimental at the very end when everybody's leaving, because this is a weird thing because it's almost like death. Especially when you're the last camper to leave, because like Sam and McKenna, they left first with Josh and Kat. When their camper pulled out, and we had to take that one somewhere too, by the way, when they were all gone and we said our goodbyes, I don't know if it was in that day or maybe the next day, there was another camper in its spot. Ben's camper that had towels all over the place and, toys and chalk art. The next day, somebody else's camper was in its spot. And I'm going to guess that, my site that was filled with tents and trailers and bikes and lawn chairs, there's another camper in its spot right now, And so it felt weird. It felt like those moments. And I've decided I'm going to do something this time, Ben. I've never kept a diary. I'm not going to do a diary. I don't like diaries. I don't think I could do it. But I think I'm going to not journal, but I'm going to write down some of the things that I don't want to forget because I'm afraid I will. Yeah. I'm afraid I'll forget of watching Nolan on his little bicycle that had no pedals on it. You just balance on it. And that little kid could just ride as fast as the wind. Or, Jane saying certain things, going down the water slide. And so I'm going to write those things down so I don't forget. But I'm telling you that so if you haven't had a vacation in a while, you should plan one, not a staycation, but a vacate, or you're vacating. And if you've got a vacation planned, or you've been like waffling, like, should we spend the money or should we not? I'm just going to give you some financial advice and tell you to do it, because that's what I was going to say. As everybody was leaving, in my head, I was thinking, wonder if Sam doesn't come next year because something happens. Or wonder if one of the kids, something happens and they're not here. And of course, I get choked up even just thinking that. But those things happen, And so I want to take advantage of these things while we can, while God allows. And if he doesn't allow, then we're okay with that too. Yeah. But when he does, I'm not going to be the one who doesn't let it happen, because I'm too overwhelmed and worried and concerned about how much it's going to cost.
Yeah. I mean, I want to piggyback off all that on kind of my two things, but real quick, I hate to push an ad in the middle of this, but I think it's a good spot for it. We want to thank Teaching Textbooks just for making this all possible. It's just super interactive. It's fun. It's engaging. My daughter did it today and still loves it this year. So if you haven't checked them out, go check them out over at teachingtextbooks.com. We appreciate their making this all possible.
And I'll just follow up on what you said, Ben, because I was over at your house jump starting your car. uh, bleary eyed. I was a little
Mm-hmm.
afraid that I would put the wrong terminals on.
Sheesh.
But went in and grabbed your keys, and I saw that your wife had made a list of things she was thankful for, and your wife's always been good about doing that. But I just saw on one of those that she was thankful for teaching textbooks, and I just think that's
Mm-hmm.
again a whatever you'd say, a testimonial
Yeah.
to teaching textbooks. Well, let's also thank Samaritan Ministries and remind you that if you've been thinking about joining, Samaritan Ministries now offers an additional news sharing option called Redeem Health Share. It's the same great ministry with Christians helping Christians, and it still involves prayer and notes of encouragement. But now there are some new programs and features in Redeem to provide even more flexible options. So check out Redeem Health Share at redeemhealthshare.org and be part of the team Redeem.
Awesome.
Okay, go ahead, Ben.
Well, I don't know. I don't need to just keep kind of rehashing on the same kind of topic
Oh,
and bring
rehash.
people down, because it's not a down thing. It's taking advantage of the time we have, and I am thankful for any of the moms who do get to be home, with your kids all day, because that is something is an incredible gift that not everyone gets to have nowadays. But to me, it is that I do feel that constant struggle of, I should be better about taking care of these things, or not letting these things take so long to fix, or why does my roof look so bad for 3 years, or it took me however long to get this pile of mulch out of my yard, or whatever it is. But then at the same
I could go on for him.
yeah, exactly. It's so endless. But then I don't ever want to get to the point where I'm 60 or 70 or 50 or whatever it is. And
Ow.
I'm just saying, once the kids are grown up and be like, man, I just didn't spend a lot of time with the kids. Like, I just do not, I am like desperately scared. I guess it sounds probably terrible, like too intense, but I just do not want that to be the case. So I've just kind of come to terms with, I'm just going to have to be okay with not being great at some of these other things, just because I need to prioritize the time I do have, because I do have a normal job with the kids, and I don't think anyone who's doing that will ever regret it. I just genuinely don't think that's ever going to be the case. And to me, I
totally agree.
I was thinking about, for vacation, it's like, what day is my favorite? And I think my favorite day is either the day after you get there, because the day you get there, at least for us, is sometimes a little stressful. It's like trying to check in, trying to get the right spot, all that kind of stuff. You got stuck in traffic, whatever it is. But the day after you've switched over, you're like, okay, we're here, and you've got an entire vacation still ahead of you. And that is such a fun feeling to me, of knowing it's all ahead of you. And I think my least favorite is obviously the last, is when that whole vacation is over for another year at least, and it's like, next time I'm doing this, I'm going to be a year older. My kids will be a year older. And I don't like that feeling of knowing like every time I do this is another year's passed, because it does come around quickly. And even Christmas feels that way to me a little bit, where it's just like, every time we do this, it's just another year's poured by, and I personally, that feeling of using the days I have well and being aware of that is, again, we're just sentimental, time sensitive people. And I know a lot of people aren't this way. And
We have issues. That's what we have.
I'm jealous of that, because it is kind of a curse. But at the same time, I don't want to be like, get to the end of the vacation and be like, man, I wasted the whole time. That's mine. And I don't mean wasted as in like, I didn't have an agenda that's booked out every day, but just being able to enjoy it with my family. And it always feels that way to me. I kind of think of life a little bit that way too, is like, I don't want to get to the end days and be like, man, because you only get the one time. I just wasted all those other times doing, other things, or being distracted by other stuff, or I didn't just be present and enjoy the time with my family. And I think about that a lot. So that's one thing that vacation always brings, other than all the fun and the enjoyment and the peace and the fun and laughing and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, there's all the good moments. I don't want to make it seem like I'm just sitting in this existential crisis the entire time, but it does make me think about that, because it's something that, is a big event. And kind of marks time, and you get to see your kids growing up over year and everything. And that's just, I think, one of the special aspects of it. But something that it made me think of, Dad, is we were the first night or weekend we were there, it was fall break, and it was absolutely jam-packed with kids, which was fun. But, that's something that
go somewhere else.
Yeah. It's just built into, school's, schedule as fall break, spring break, stuff like that. Do you think, and we've kind of brushed on this briefly, but do you think it's a good idea to, for homeschoolers to specifically ahead of time plan on taking specific breaks other than obviously Christmas or Thanksgiving? Or do you think just kind of play it by ear, or if you want to leave, take the break? Or how do you feel like approaching that?
Well, there are two different kinds of people. There are planners and non-planners. Planners have to plan. A planner's got a plan, because if they don't, they won't have a plan. So yes, I definitely think that planning type homeschoolers, our personality test, the Falcons and the Swans, you like to plan things. So yes, you should plan those breaks. So Christmas break, you should have a 2 or 3 week window or a month window written out on your schedule that's planned. Your last day of the school year should be planned. I think you should have a fall break because they have a fall break. You could have a spring break and a midwinter break and other kind of breaks. I'm going to just hang that up right now. Yes. And so for you non-planners, we never took a fall break. We just took breaks whenever we needed them. And when we were on vacation every October and we would go speaking, that was our break. And so we didn't worry so much about it. So, but I do think it's important. I think it's important to do those things. Yeah. Hey, Ben, are you going to say more about that, or can we?
It's fine.
Okay, I'm getting ready to hang up here, but I do want to say, because this is a big weekend. This is Thanksgiving weekend. Didn't mean to scare you there. It is Halloween weekend, and whether you're a Halloweener or a Halloween hater, I'm not going to debate that right now, but I will tell you the weekend on October the 31st, All Hallowed Saints Eve, is a great time for family. In the past, when my kids were little, we would do the night before. We would talk about Christians who had died, and, we didn't spend a big, long time about it, but we'd talk about, and we'd remember some of those people, we'd do different things. Sometimes we did trick-or-treating. Other times we didn't. Did we dress up with, like zombies with spikes sticking out our heads? No. Did my kids have fun going up to doors and say trick-or-treat? Yes, we did. And, I have some great memories. When my kids were little and we lived in a neighborhood, we used as an opportunity to not just share Christ, but to share Christ and to be friendly neighbors. And sometimes we had powdered donuts in our garage, with hot chocolate and coffee and apple cider, and we gave out tracts and candy. And it was a great opportunity. Now we live in a place where we're just on the other side of the bridge where nobody comes, so we don't do that. But we will still have a great family time. And I'm telling you, if you don't do Halloween, do something else family-ish that night, because it just feels like family. Hide in your basement, put paper over the window so they can't see in, sprinkle holy water around. I don't know, whatever you do. And then have pizza or watch a good family movie, play games, and do it for the same reason that we talked about, the vacation. It's a pain and it's hard to make that time, but it pays off later, because the thing is, your kids will love you, will love God, because you went on vacation. Really, they will love you and they will love God because you went trick-or-treating or did something in your basement. Those things that we do together as a family, they highlight the important things that we're trying to share with our kids. So I think that's a good place to stop. I don't feel quite as tired as when I started, so thank you. I appreciate that. But I'll let Bennett finish it out, and I'll just tell you, have a great weekend. Do something for Halloween or, for the weekend. And of course, don't forget to smile.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. We appreciate everyone being here. If you haven't done this before, please leave us a review on whatever podcast app you're listening on. That's a great way to just help spread the word about the Smiling Homeschooler. But we also want to thank Teaching Textbooks for making the Smiling Homeschooler possible. They're just an amazing math curriculum, and we really appreciate their support. Also to Samaritan Ministries, a community of Christians who pay one another's medical bills, helping families take a safe step of faith as they feel God's leading in career or ministry changes or in bringing mom home. You can learn more at samaritanministries.org/familyman. But have a great week, and don't forget to smile.